My name is Ricky McGowan. I am the head of professional standards and accreditation at the RSS. What does that mean? It means I help oversee the process of our professional membership applications that are assessed by our professional affairs committee. And working with the professional affairs committee, we look after the code of conduct, the general standards for both the professional membership and the accreditation offerings that we do at the RSS. As well as in terms of code of conduct, we act as a sort of guidance if people have any issues with the code of conduct. They need support, they can come to us for any queries and questions. We might help them with their career as well. Um, so today we're going to be talking about professional membership, the skills needed to get through each level, what you can apply for now, hopefully other membership opportunities that are coming in the future as well. So I'm aware we've got some new members that might necessarily be joining this. So I'll just quickly go through what it is, some history about the RSS in case you don't know. So on the left are some fact finds about the RSS. So we are just over 175 years old, making us one of the oldest learning societies around, let alone being the only one for data and statistics, and being the only professional body for statisticians and data analysts. We have over 10,000 members in the UK and across the world. It's about a 45 to 55% split between the UK and overseas. And we've just reached over 1,000 e-teacher members, which is a big thing for us. It's the highest that membership category has ever been. Through the membership offering, we do support statisticians and data analysts, data scientists throughout their academic and professional careers, because it's important that we do that and help them grow as an individual and as well as teams nowadays, as we're seeing more and more apparent with data science teams, for instance. We also give members the platform to use their knowledge in a variety of ways. And this is something that I'll touch on about ways we can help support your development. So not just tools, but also how we can give you a platform to voice any opinion you may have or anything you want to. On the right hand side, you'll see our new professional pathway, which relates to the professional membership offerings we have and hope to have in the next few weeks. And I'll come more into those in a moment. Okay, so as I've touched on a bit more about what we do promote the importance of statistics and data. You've probably seen a lot of us in the news lately with regards to education, the exam results, if you like. Also, we do a lot of work with COVID as well. We work with the government. We do a lot of work behind the scenes. So we're also just been named a few times in the national data strategy and how we plan to help the government with that. And some important data science work that we're doing on that behalf. We do offer a professional accreditation and CPD, but also we have the two major publications, which I know a lot of our members are fond of in terms of the Significance magazine. There was a talk by Brian, our editor, yesterday, which was really insightful. And we also do our journal series, which Guy Nason touched on yesterday as well. And they're really, again, opportunities and platforms for members to get involved in. And then we also run events. As I say, there'll be a recording of this available online. We've just done our first conference online, and hopefully in a post-COVID world, we'll be going back to doing a lot more physical events and our international conference as well, which is planned to be in Manchester next year. And it'd be great to see a few of you there. Another thing we do, which does help your professional career, is training courses. Okay, and members do get discounts, so do take advantage of them. More and more are becoming online at the moment, so do have a look out for them, and I'll touch more on those in a moment. Okay, so our main categories of membership, they're in three main criterias. We have the e-student, so those who are in full-time or part-time education, including the PhD, and that can be in any discipline. And we have quite a number of e-student members. I think it's around 3,000 at the moment, and they are in a multitude of disciplines. And we help them with their education, and they get access to Significance, for example, and it's a good platform for them to see what's appropriate and if they should move up to the fellow category once they qualify. The fellow category is the next level of membership, is just our ordinary membership. It's for anyone with an interest in statistics and data analysts. We have many fellows at the moment, around 5,000. fellows at the moment, and these are just ordinary members of the society. Um, it's important to know that as we go on to the next category, professional, that all our professional members are fellows of the society. It's just they are fellows with a professional award or a professional membership attached to it. And our professional categories are for those with statistical qualifications and or 5 or more years of professional experience, depending on which category you're going for. And that's what I'll go into a bit more detail now. But as I say, all categories can be found on our website with more detail should you need it afterwards. So the professional awards themselves, there's three, with one coming soon, two of which are actually available to apply for now. So we have the Data Analyst, which is a new category of membership we hope to launch before the end of the year. And this is for those with basic statistical training and some form of work experience to support that. We have the graduate statistician or grad stat level, and that's for those with a statistics-based degree or a degree with a significant amount of statistical content, including theory. Um, or you have chartered statisticians, CStats, so really the pinnacle of our membership, the cream of the crop, if you like, for those with 5 or more years of professional experience in the industry, as well as the academic or competence to meet that academic standards as well. Now, we do offer these professional titles, and as we're not regulated, people do ask us why apply. And the answer is that they do recognize a combination of your education, your experience, and competence and commitment to ethics at a high level. And we've seen this week, we've been mentioned a few times at how much professional membership can mean to potential employers. It does show a level of dedication to your profession and to your own development, as well as you're taking responsibility for you and your development as you progress through your career. And in that, that's why they're a valuable addition to your CV. It does make you competitive when you're going into the job market, and especially we say this with our students converting to fellows and grad stats. Because when you are applying for job, people do like to see that you are a member of a professional body. Okay, so with those three, we do have a competency framework now, and you can see there are guidelines for each of our levels, so data analyst, grad stat, and CStat. Um, and this is new for the RSS. It's coming in this year, as I say, towards the end of the year. And this is just to help give members a visual idea of what it is they need to be at each level. As you can see, the definitions are very similar for data analyst and grad stat. It's just data analyst is recognizing that you need a basic statistical training at basic level. So you only need to cover one or two of those learning outcomes, if you like. Whereas grad stat, we're looking for the whole package. You need to cover all of the learning outcomes. And then CStat brings in the additional changes. So things that you've done in that 5 years work experience after you've gained your academic skills or the competencies to meet those skills. And bringing the extra high level areas such as managing a statistics section, for example, as something that a lot of our CStat members do. This is the first time we've had a competency framework, and this now does enable members to actually go through the membership themselves, take their learning into their own hands, and then by looking, you can see where your skills, hone your skills, and we can help you work through the categories. For some people, it might be necessary to stay at data analyst because they go off in other professions or other areas, or for some, it might be easier if they did the data analyst. They might not need the grad stat, but in 5 years' time, or they may have already gained 5 years work experience, they can apply for the CStat title. So why data analyst? Data analyst is this new entry level qualification. We've seen a gap in the market. There are a lot of people, competent people, working with statistics, but they have no way of gaining formal recognition of those skills. So we're talking people who may have done a psychology degree, marketing degree, who've done really good analytical training, content, but they have nothing to show for it. And it may be that those people we're seeing more and more go into a statistical-led profession, and then they therefore need the recognition to help that. They wouldn't quite meet our grad stat standards as they don't have the whole package, as we saw earlier on the competency framework. But this does give them the option to get that skill set recognized, and they can say to an employer, I have done statistical training, I have been badged by the RSS. And the image that you see on the screen, the data analyst image, is actually a physical badge that gets sent to these individuals, and they can put it on their LinkedIn, they can put it on their emails, their business cards, and so forth. It's something that really does stand out. And as it says there, it is your first step to eventual professional status as either a grad stat or a C stat. It is about the journey, if you like, and moving through your career. As I say, some people it may be eligible, but they just get recognition for that data skills training to go on their CV to add to their skill set, and then they'll go into something else. Um, but for some people, they will want to progress through the career, and it's important in this day and age as degrees become more diversified, statistics becomes part of other disciplines, that we start to recognize this good statistical training. Um, we also found that it's a good way of educating employers as to what good statistical training looks like and maybe what the title data analyst means. We do see fluctuation in the job market of what a data analyst does. Some people do just put numbers in Excel, and we recognize that's not statistics. But some people do have really good training, and it's a way of separating those. It does give you an entry level into the statistical community at an early stage in your career, and this is really important and what employers are looking for more and more, and because it shows you have a body of people you can contact. Okay, you're taking responsibility. A lot of people are employed by non-statisticians, and therefore they don't always have somewhere to go for if they need help with a particular query or question. Showing that you're registered with a professional body means that you've got a membership, access to a lot of like-minded people where you can go and get that information. In terms of grad status, again, it's a bit more formal. It's recognition of all those training skills that you've developed either via your degree, or via competencies. We'll shortly be launching a competency-based route for grad stat, and where you can use your experience as well as formal training. So if you've done training in some of our learning outcome areas, and then you've gained 2 years of work experience where you've covered the other aspects and other learning outcomes, you can still apply for grad stat status. And again, it's great recognition for your employer, for your skill set, and it's the first step to eventual professional status as a chartered statistician. It's what sets you on that route. You do become part of this professional community again at an early stage in your career. For some of those where they've done a statistics degree, they wouldn't have to register as a data analyst. They can come straight in and register as a grad stat. We do have support schemes just for stat members that are aimed at getting you towards chartered status. These come in the form of a midterm assessment, where after holding the title for 2 years, you can write to us with a personalized statement as to where you are in your career and the things you've done. And then that's reviewed by a chartered statistician, who is probably either a current member of our professional affairs committee or an ex-member of the professional affairs committee. And what they do is they give you a tailored reply, talking about your career so far, what maybe you want to go into, what you might want to concentrate on, or that you're on the right track and this is what you need to do. Come back to us in 2 years and you can apply for chartered status. It's a really personalized service. It's free of charge for all grad stat members. The next is the mentoring scheme. This is a really good scheme where we have access to about 30 or 40 chartered statisticians across the UK and overseas. And these are assigned to grad stat holders who want this service. And again, they're there to help you get towards chartered statistician status. They can help you with your career. That you can meet as often, as infrequently as you like. It really depends and is up to the two individuals who are on this scheme. We've seen some really great success stories, and a lot of our mentees actually then go on to become mentors or members of the professional affairs committee or both. So it's a really good thing to do. If anyone was able to attend the CPD talk by Rob Mastrodomenico earlier this week, you can see he gave firsthand advice on what it was like to be a mentor and how he found it really helpful to get his point across, how CPD should be approached. Because as we're seeing, more and more people are doing different kinds of statistical careers, and it's important that they feel included, that they know how they can note down their CPD in a way where they can still apply for CSTAT. Again, the image you see is the GradStat badge, is the physical badge that you can put on your business card, LinkedIn. It's something, a stamp of approval, that you can really show off. And then the last one is the chartered statistician status. Again, a lot of people say, why do you have this? Well, it is the cream of the crop for statisticians. It's on par with things like chartered surveyor, chartered insurance broker, chartered financial broker, um, financial planner, for instance. Um, it shows that you have a body of knowledge and you're doing a job for skilled professionals. You're recognized by similar peers as combining education, competence, experience, and commitment to ethics, as well as showing commitment to your continued professional development, so your CPD, as you do have to revalidate this title. Um, Not only that, charter status is a level and a measure of assurance to not only employers but contractors, future collaborators, and the public. If you see that charter status, you do sort of stop and think that someone's approved this and that you are of a decent standard. And we'll go on to a few success stories of this as well later on. Again, if anyone attended a talk by Marie at the beginning of the week, Marie Oldfield. She talked about how useful and helpful she's found it to be a chartered statistician as well as a chartered scientist, by getting access to our consultants directory. All CSTAT holders can be listed on there for free of charge, and that a lot of our CSTAT holders find work through the consultants directory. That companies come to us, they look at the directory and they find the person relevant for them, and then they get their business. So it's a really helpful tool to be part of if you are planning to work. There all are also some aspects of volunteering within the RSS where you are required to be a chartered professional, so such as the Professional Affairs Committee or the mentoring scheme. If you want to get involved in those schemes, which would be great, you do have to be a chartered member, because then we've seen a history of you providing your own CPD, your own development, as well as giving you then the opportunity to help others get to that point. Um, Again, like the others, it isn't a valuable addition to your CV. It does make you competitive in the job market. We do a lot of work with employers to make sure they understand our professional offering and to know what level an individual is at by the different professional categories. Um, we do hold specific events for CStats and the other professional titles. So the talk that Marie did at the beginning of Members Week, we do hold a lot of those in terms of what it's like to be a consultant, how to get into consultancy, and we do those for our professional members. So a bit more about the professional pathway in terms of what the requirements are at each level. We've made some changes. So the data analyst, you will need at least what we call one quality marked course or equivalent. So something accredited that meets at least one of the learning outcomes that you saw on competency framework. So it could be a training course in Bayesian and frequentist techniques. You need at least 1 year's work experience having had that training so that we can see that you've put that into practice. And we need around 6 months of CPD, again, so we can see how you're continuing that professional development. Having a professional title is a commitment. It's not just a badge that you get retrospectively and then you can hold. It is a commitment to show that you are continuing your development. GradStat status, the current standard route, you're doing a completion of an accredited degree. So we do accredit statistics degrees or those with sufficient statistical content. But as I mentioned earlier, we are bringing in a new competency-based route where you can do a degree in any discipline, but you've done some form of quality mark training. So it may be one of the modules that you've done as part of that degree is accredited. So again, a module on frequentist and Bayesian techniques. And then you've done relevant CPD on top and relevant work experience. Again, so that we can get an idea that you're using those skills on a day-to-day basis. And it was really important that we introduced this competency route, because for the chartered statistician status, we've had a competency-based route for a few years now. And it made sense that we had an entry level into this at the grad stat level, and this is why we've introduced it. At the chartered status level, there's no changes in terms of it's the standard route, which is you be a grad stat member and you hold that title for 5 years, and then you do the additional evidence. or you apply via the competency-based route. So again, if you've not met the academic standards, you can apply using 5 years worth of work experience, providing you meet our competencies. One note around the data analyst title is to add that whilst we hope this launches towards the end of the career, we do have a couple of formal hoops to jump through. Just being as the type of body we are, we do have protocols. Our charter and bylaw requires us to go through a membership vote, which we passed at the initial membership vote at the AGM in September. And the next vote is to actually go to professional members in a few weeks' time, where professional members get a vote on if we introduce that title or not. However, we're quite confident that this will happen. In terms of how to apply currently, so currently you can apply for grad stat and CStat status. Graduate statisticians, we only have the standard route available at the present, so we just need electronic versions of your degree certificates and your transcripts. You can do that by applying today via My RSS if you have those to hand. It's a process that takes 10 to 15 minutes for grad stat if you have those two documents. And then you usually get a reply within, if it's an accredited degree, within 7 to 10 days. If it's a non-accredited degree, then sometimes it will have to be assessed by our professional affairs committee. They meet 5 times a year, usually in February, April, June, October, and December. So October and December are usually our most popular ones, because of just naturally when the degrees are handed out in the UK. For charter statistician status, applicants need a bit more, as well as needing their academic evidence. And they do need to provide professional experience, including the dates, copy of the CV, if needed, as additional items. But they need to list their professional experience from the last 5 years. They need to provide 2 referees from that 5-year period. At least one of those needs to be a statistician, if possible, a charter statistician, but a trained statistician at least. And then we need a CPD document, which is a 2-year document describing the different things you've done and evidence your professional development. And I'll go into a bit more detail on that. And I know, as I said earlier, Rob did a really in detail talk about CPD earlier this week, which is available to view, but I'll go over some of it now. Okay, so what does count as CPD? We have 4 main areas. These are work-based learning, professional activity, formal educational, and self-directed learning. We have an online tracking system for CPD. So again, if you go to the My RSS section, there is an option for CPD, and you can start logging your CPD. So any training courses you go on, and any work-based learning you do. And to give you an example of each, work-based learning might be you take on a project and it's the first time you've done project management. It's just important to realize that whilst the project itself may last 6 months, if it's the first time you've done project management, there may only be 2 weeks worth of learning time in that process, because that's when you learn about how to do a project, how to manage one, but the rest is implementation, and it's important to know this. With regards to professional activity, again, this can be things like coming to this webinar, conference, one of our talks, a talk with another body, and so forth. So again, these are areas where you can do professional CPD. More formal and educational is training. So training courses, you could come to one of our training courses. So we do training courses in basics. We also do training in R, as well in Python. So these are all different things where you can learn different CPD. Self-directed learning you could be reading, it could be videos. A lot of data scientists, for instance, do a lot of self-directed learning because they share a lot of information. There is a lot of open source training available. I've seen there's a question coming in from Joe. I'll come back to that, Joe, at the end if that's okay. So I'll just touch on that as I go through. I'll go through everything else first, and then I'll come back to that question. In terms of what other opportunities does the RSS offer that you could get involved in, there are volunteering opportunities where you could actually be involved with the RSS that do count towards your CPD. So some of the obvious ones are listed here. So journals, you can become a reviewer, an associate editor. Um, we do have sections or local groups. These are great ways to get CPD by just attending the meetings, the events on relevant areas. You can also actually get involved with the sections or local groups of being on the committee and again get different kind of CPD. And Rob was very clear in his talking about that, in that, he's gained CPD by going to events, but also by actually running the events was a new thing to him. It was, and that's a different kind of CPD where you can evidence your learning. We do discussion meetings. You can get involved in the discussion meetings as well as attending them. And it is where an author presents their paper. We do have the annual conference. So as well as actually just attending the conference, as you see, we've put the call out this week about how you can actually propose having a session yourself at a conference. And we do encourage members to do this. It's a great way um, to network, to get yourself out there, your work out there, and just to improve your own development as well. And again, the training courses, as well as attending them, if you do offer training courses, get in touch. Our training team, we're always looking to develop our profile. So if you do have an idea on a training course, do get in touch with the training team there as well. Okay, so it's important to know now that with the new changes in the competency framework, it is more than just membership, more than just a badge. Okay, it does actually align a lot of the things the RSS do and brings it all together to help you in your career. For the first time, our training courses will be directly linked with our CPD. Some may be accredited, so they are quality marked courses, so they go towards that competency route for both the grad stat status as well as gaining you the basic training, statistical training that you may need to get the data analyst title as well. And it's the first time that that has really linked together with our professional offering. The same with the CPD. Um, you know, we are doing more and more advertising. A lot of our members do a lot for us. They do a lot by attending our events, but they're just unaware that that CPD actually does count a long way to their professional status. The same with the events at the end. They may speak at. These are all linked together. Um, Volunteering opportunities, there are a lot of volunteering opportunities at the RSS. A great way to develop your professional skills and to network, as I say, and to get yourself out there. And again, this is all part of your professional development and offering that the RSS do for you, and it's part of your membership. So do take advantage of that where you feel you can, um, and it can go towards you applying for charter status. um, we offer a corporate membership scheme. Again, this scheme was very light-hearted. It was, if you had so many members at your company or workplace, we would help you set up a corporate scheme where you could be eligible to discounts if you had so many members sign up. And we sort of left you alone at that point. Whereas now we're working really hard with our corporate members to actually develop a pathway for their staff, to look at them. Where are their staff in terms of their training needs? Can we help them progress? Do they need professional recognition? Do they want to make that part of their own development and their own sort of yearly reviews and targets and training needs? So this is another area where we bring in the professional development and the different pathways that are open to them. The professional development and career planning, again, these are just other areas where we can actually help down and sit down with individuals and actually say, okay, if you're a data analyst and you've done training in these areas, if we do some skills gap analysis, we can see if you focus on these other areas, not only will you develop in your career, but you're also then entitled for other professional membership categories. So as you can see, we're actually bringing a lot more of what the RSS has always done, but we're bringing it together in one place to help you develop through your career, as well as the professional pathway. So how can you get involved? You can become a professional member. You are all fellows currently, so you can look at if there's any professional categories that is open for you. Um, Another way to get involved and actually help your skill set develop is by writing for one of our publications or website. So Significance, for example, You can take part in a webinar by not just attending. As I said, as it says further down the line, you can help with our conference, submit a session, or you can join. And for those of you who are at the career young stage of your career, so anyone who's in the first 10 years of being a statistician, if you like, I would strongly recommend of joining the young statisticians section, so the YSS. And we've had a lot of success stories from members who have joined the YSS. Notable ones include, well, we've had Rob Mastrodomenico who talked this week. He was a, um, a member of the YSS. We've got members such as Robert Cuff, who was a member of YSS and is now a chartered statistician and the head of statistics at the BBC, regularly on the BBC News Channel, especially at the moment. And we've also got people like Jennifer Rogers, who is had a really great career, a professional member, and also again been successful in the media as well. So um, the young statistician section does give you a lot of opportunity to actually network and get out there. And also, if you do want to do more in terms of volunteering, if you're able to do so, it's a great introduction to that. Again, volunteering, as I say, the YSS does give you entry, but we do a number of different schemes. We do the AIM schemes, which helps teach maths and stats in Africa, and we sponsor a few individuals to go there each year to help with that. We have the Statisticians for Society, where again we actually partner statisticians with charities, and what they do is then they help that charity free of charge. They work pro bono, and help them develop their statistics. Might actually end with a statistician being placed at that charity, and again that's been funded by the National Lottery and been hugely successful. Stats Ambassador Scheme is something you wouldn't necessarily normally attribute to statisticians, but it's where we actually train statisticians to deal with the media. As I touched on those 3 individuals I mentioned a minute ago, we trained all of those individuals to actually talk to the media a bit better. So talk to the radio, talk to TV, talk to journalists, and then it actually gives us a pool of people where if we do get a lot, because we do get a lot of queries from the media saying this new story has broke, are the stats correct? What's your view in it? And our president, as good as she is, she can't answer all queries. And as good as someone like David Spiegelhalter was, and when he was president, again, he couldn't answer all the queries. So we developed this scheme. So we had a pool of statisticians we could turn to and actually present them with these media queries. And it's been really successful. And just something that you wouldn't necessarily attribute to statisticians, as I say. What else can you do? You can contribute to our policy and educational work. So this is more the work in the background. We do a lot of work with government and education. Things that we're includes we're doing a lot of work with the Turing Institute, COVID, and the government. We just made an announcement this week about that. Other things we do is we're looking at developing standards specific for data science, and we're working with a number of different awarding bodies because we see it as a joint venture, especially between ourselves, the British Computer Society, and the Royal Academy of Engineer. And that's actually been picked up by the National Data Strategy. So again, it's a lot of formal policy work that we work behind the scenes with. Other ways to get involved and to help your career, help your development, is to join one of our committees. And there you can actually have your say on the governance and strategic direction of the society. And that's a really good skill to add in professional development and ways to stand out. So I will move to the questions part of the talk because I'm conscious of time. I know we've got a couple on the side. So before we sort of jump into some more, I'll just have a read of these and then I'll answer those first. So I know Joe has mentioned about AGM, the discussion of the new category of membership. So that new category of membership, Joe, is the data analyst. And that's what we're looking to introduce. So that is the new category. It will be a professional membership category. It will be hopefully going live just before Christmas. We're just looking on that at the moment. We've we had a member vote at the AGM. We're just about to go to our professional members in a couple of weeks' time, and be implemented and built onto the website as to actually allow applications. And it will be open to all categories of members. I say all categories, if you're a fellow, you can apply straight away. For those who are not members of the RSS, they just have to become a fellow in order to apply, which is the same for all categories. Would you have been? Jan has asked, would we have more information about quality marking of courses? What would make a quality marked course? Yeah, what I would say, I'll put my email addresses on screen. If you want more detailed information about that, then drop me a line. It's really those courses that meet our learning outcomes. So I'll just find out our competency framework rather. So the requirements of data analyst and grad stat are our quality mark requirements. So if you were holding or designing a training course and it met the first learning outcomes, so it gave a good knowledge and of frequentist and Bayesian methods for conducting data analysis. If that training course focused on that, that would be a quality marked course, for example. And it's all modular based now rather than whole degree based. Again, it could just concentrate on things like developing the software and programming skills, and that again would be a quality marked module on its own. So if someone did that training, so training in R, for instance, that might lead you to the data analyst title. If you did a statistics degree, it's more likely that they're going to cover all of those learning outcomes, and that's why we accredit those. Okay, so does anyone else have any additional questions? I know there's some people typing in the box, so we'll just wait for those to come through. Again, if anyone does have any questions on anything we've talked about, feel free to drop me an email and I'll be more than happy to get back to you.
Thanks very much, Ricky. And I can see that we did have some questions earlier before. I just wanted to ask you, in terms of the CPD, there's a real need for CPD in order to progress through the different categories. And I just wondered, is there a minimum requirement for CPD, say at the data analyst level, or is it a case of just kind of try to do as much as you can?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So CPD at the data analyst level, at least 6 to 12 months of CPD, averaging of around 30 hours for the data analyst level, within that 6 to 12 month period. For the grad stat and CStat, the requirements are 60 hours a year. So for every year that we recommend you need, it would be 60 hours at that year. So no, it's a great question because it's important to cite, and that is learning hours. So which is really important, as wise to say, when you're doing a project, if you're doing a 6 months project, it's not 6 months worth of hours. It's that part where you're learning how to run a project. That's your learning hours. The same for courses that you go on as well.
Okay, I just saw a comment as well from Joe. So he just said it's not a question, but just to confirm that the young stat is for people in their early career. It doesn't mean that you have to be young. Is that right?
Yeah, no, it's a great point, Joe. Yeah, it is career young statisticians. So it's not that you have to be aged between, say, 18 and 30. It is career young. We're living in this world as well, especially with, what is it, rethink, retrain at the moment. So we're going to see probably a lot of people moving into data, and they'll all be career young statisticians. So it's great to get everyone involved.
And do you think that with that, we're going to see more people taking up the data analyst route? Because if they maybe haven't been originally thinking about going down the statistics route and then they've retrained, do you think that the current climate is going to create that need for data analysts?
Yeah, definitely. One thing we see a lot with these climates, I was fortunate enough to be working in the finance world when the crash in 2008 happened. and I was working for a financial awarding body, and the requirements of finance changed at that time. And even though it was a lot of people losing their jobs, it was a recession, the professional body market picked up because people did want to retrain, reskill, get their professional titles, and actually we saw a mini boom. And I think it's important to probably expect the same reaction now, especially within data and statistics, because people are more aware of what data is, they're doing it more, it's become more ethical to be trained in data rather than just learning it on the job. And that's one thing where we can help people develop their skills in the right way, and help train not just the individual but also the employer as well, and make them more aware. So I definitely think data analysts will become more important as we move forward. And it's not just for those coming into it new. It's important that there's a huge workforce already working in this area that need recognition. So it's definitely something we need to consider.
Okay, and so you did mention the YSS there. I just wondered if you could expand on some of the things that they do.
Yeah, so the YSS are a great section. They not only hold, and they have a lot of involvement in conference, for example. They actually structure and have a big say on how conference is structured. They run a lot of professional development events at the conference, but they also do a lot in the year in terms of um, professional development talks throughout the year. They do talk about different topics, how to introduce you to networking, for example. Um, they're all different skill sets that a YSS can bring in, but you may not necessarily realize you need to develop at that stage.
Great. Okay, and so Jan has another question here. So Jan's asking, what about a PhD student? Would there be a 6-month CPD within their typical 3-year project that allows them to become a data analyst?
Yeah, I think it's just important to know that, yeah, with your PhD, obviously there's been some undergrads and postgrad training there as well. So your the training need will probably come from those in terms of the quality mark training. You've probably done some form of analytical training within those, so it's important we see that when you apply. But yeah, if you've then done work experience as part of the PhD, and the CPD, then yeah, it's just important that you detail as you're learning. So we wouldn't concentrate too much on the PhD side. It would be more what work experience you've done as part of that, and the quality mark training you've done in the build up to your PhD.
Okay, and presumably there are going to be more people that will have questions around if they are able to do this, or you know, what kind of extra skills that they might need. So would you suggest that they could contact you directly if they're unsure about which category that they might fall into?
Yeah, definitely. Do get in touch. If not with me directly, you can always email our and talk to the team at pa@rss.org.uk. We're happy to provide all sorts of advice. I think it's important now that to again mention we have this competency framework, and it's the first time there's been a visual attached to your development, and it really does put the power into the members' hands, so they can actually see and do a skills gap analysis and what training they've had, and necessarily what training they might need to get to the next level. And if they do need help assessing that, when we're always here to help with that.
Okay, thanks very much, Ricky. I'm just going to throw that out to the people joining today. Are there any more questions for this session? I think you covered pretty much all of it, Ricky. So it's actually quite a good sign that there aren't any. But yeah, I did want to thank you for explaining that, because I know that there are some changes and there will be people thinking about how they can, you know, progress in their career while dealing with everything that's going on right now. So thank you very much for those, for your presentation and for answering those questions. It has, oh yeah, thanks, Joe. So Joe said it's been a very helpful session. I'd agree with that as well. I'm just going to give one last opportunity for questions, and if not, then we'll wrap up there.
No problem. It's been a great talk, guys. So, as I say, keep an eye on the website. There are a lot of changes happening as we speak. Data analysts will hopefully go live before the end of the year. So do keep an eye out. There'll be a lot of information about how the offerings linked as well, and what training needs can help you get to the next level. And just as I say, keep an eye out and get in touch if you have any questions. I see there's a couple of people typing at the moment.
Okay, so I think there's some comments. Thank you for the session. So I would also like to actually say thank you to all the people that have joined and to all the hosts that we've had this week. It's been a very interesting week in terms of finding out more about the society and more about what you can do. Please do also remember that we are here as a membership to serve you, and we are able to answer any questions that you have, not just in this session, but also as we continue. So my thanks to Ricky for presenting today, and to everybody that's joined us. Thank you, and have a very good weekend.